Jameson Netherwave, Sir Alistair Wolfguard, and Alara the Magiri made their way through Titanum Forest in the direction of the coast. Sir Alistair was at the front, his gaze sweeping across the forest as the technology-infused gauntlet on his arm hummed with otherworldly energies.
"Tell me again, what in the seven is a Venomancer?"
Jameson asked. Sir Alistair looked down at the display mounted on his forearm and then back up into the horizon of trees and strange plant life.
"It is a term I created, for I am the first. It refers to one who uses Varak Horde technology in the same way that a spellcaster uses magic," he replied.
Jameson nodded, but he still didn't understand.
"So, what's that thing on your arm doing then?"
"It's scanning for movement within my field of vision. My eye patch provides a full heads-up display based on the data being captured,"
Sir Alistair said. Jameson growled.
"You want to dumb that down for us common folk?"
He looked back to Alara behind him. She smiled politely, but her violet eyes avoided his gaze.
"I can see if there are any threats nearby,"
Sir Alistair said.
"Ah, well, that's good. The boys are going to love all your Varak tech. Where'd you get it from, anyway?"
Jameson asked. Sir Alistair shook his head.
"That is a very, very long story. Thankfully for us all, the Varak Horde's invasion failed. At least now their technology can do some good for Devine."
The group finally emerged from the trees and onto a sandy beach. Ahead of them, crisp blue waves crashed rhythmically onto the shore. The light of Devine's shattered moon flickered on the surface of the peaceful water, which stretched out into the endless horizon. The ocean that surrounded Devine was known as the Endarian Expanse, and despite its peaceful surface, it held many a dark secret beneath its waves.
Feels good to see the sea again,"
Jameson shouted with a chuckle. He pointed out toward the horizon. An impressive ship sat just offshore. Its flag bore the elongated skull of Jameson's people, the Meldok.
"There she is! Have you ever seen a more beautiful vessel?"
Jameson asked.
"An impressive craft indeed. How large is your crew?"
Sir Alistair asked. Jameson puffed out his scaled chest.
There are nearly 20 of us! The only people I trust in the world, and my greatest friends. Now come, let us join them so we can eat and drink after this long journey."
Jameson led the group toward a small dinghy on the shore nearby. 2 paddles hung from the sides. As the group started to push the boat into the water, a voice echoed from the trees behind them.
"Wait! Please! I need your help!"
The 3 turned toward the sound of the voice. A knight emerged from the trees. A black hooded cape flapped in the wind behind him. His armor was dented and scorched. He stumbled into the sand, waving his arms frantically.
"Who is that? Either of you recognize him?"
Jameson asked.
"He is unknown to me,"
Sir Alistair said. Jameson looked over to Alara, who simply shrugged. The knight closed the distance slowly, moving like he was badly injured.
"Greetings, friends. I apologize for the unorthodox entrance. My name is Calvian Grave, but you may call me Blackheart."
The knight stumbled forward. Sir Alistair moved to catch him before he fell. He brought the knight over to the boat and set him down inside.
"You look like you fought a dragon. What happened to you?"
Sir Alistair asked. Blackheart laughed.
"It was indeed a formidable foe. As I am sure you know, magic has returned to the realm. My attackers were adept in the art of fire."
Sir Alistair's eyes wandered over the scorch marks on Blackheart's breastplate. The black ash reminded him of a time he wished dearly to forget. Blackheart turned his gaze toward Alara, who pulled the hood of her robe over her eyes.
"By the Titans, is that a Magiri? Don't be afraid, girl. I'm not here to hurt you. I just never thought I would lay eyes upon one of your kind again."
Sir Alistair stepped in front of Alara, who was clearly uncomfortable.
"What are you doing in Titanum Forest?"
Blackheart nodded.
"A fair question. I was passing through the forest seeking one of the fairies. Here, I have a portrait."
Blackheart pulled out a rolled-up parchment and showed it to the group.
"Ever seen her?"
The other 3 shook their heads. He put the scroll back inside his pouch.
"No one has, apparently. My friends, may I trouble you for some food and drink? I see you have a ship out there on the Expanse."
Jameson grinned at the mention of his ship.
"That's my girl out there. Ha ha! I don't see why not. The more the merrier."
Sir Alistair kept his digital eye trained on Blackheart. He tapped the display on his gauntlet a few times. blue light pulsed through his armor.
These readings are strange. Perhaps we shouldn't, he muttered.
Blackheart forced a smile.
Ah, Verac technology, I assume. I've never seen one so familiar with it as you.
Sir Alistair took his eyes off the display.
Yes, I have a deep familiarity with it.
You worry too much, Sir Alistair. Our friend here is injured, and no doubt tired and hungry. We should only hope others would do the same for us. Besides, I'm itching to tell the crew about our little order,
Jameson said.
Oh, you're part of a group. I'd love to hear more,
Blackheart said, feeding into Jameson's love of storytelling. Jameson laughed.
Ha ha! All in good time, my friend. I'll tell you the story while we row.
Sir Alistair shook his head.
Fine, let's get moving.
The four crowded into the small boat, with Alara sitting on the floor near the bow. Jameson rowed, taking them out into the Andarian expanse and toward his ship. He told Blackheart about the Order of the Pawn, and how they had been approached by a bard named Finton Merrybrook. Sir Alistair wasn't paying attention. Instead, he was checking the data he'd received from his scan of the strange night. Alara waved to him from the front of the boat. Sir Alistair looked up as she pulled the Kintari stone out of her pouch. It was flashing and vibrating in her hand. Sir Alistair stole a glance back to the other two in conversation and shook his head.
Not here, he said. We'll contact Finton once we reach the ship.
Alara nodded and slid the stone back into her pouch. When the group reached Jameson Netherwave's ship, they were met with silence. Jameson's demeanor immediately shifted. His smile, filled with sharp reptilian teeth, faded immediately.
Something's wrong,
he said, jumping onto the rope ladder hanging from the side of the ship. The four made their way up and onto the ship, only to find it deserted. Jameson ran across the length of the vessel, shouting names none of them recognized, but no one responded.
I don't understand. Where's my crew?
Jameson asked. Sir Alistair made his way across the ship to the other side. He looked over the edge and immediately he had an answer.
I know where they went,
he said. The other three joined him on the side of the boat and looked over. Beside the ship, the surface of the ocean was ripped open like a gaping wound. The water obeyed some unseen force, creating a perfect open cylinder down into the depths.
How is this possible?
Sir Alistair asked.
I've heard stories of sunken citadels beneath the expanse, but they're pieces of the celestial forge that fell from the sky when Titans broke the moon. In all my Krona exploring these waves, though, I've never seen one with my own eyes,
Jameson said. Sir Alistair gasped.
I don't know how this is possible, but my device can interface with whatever is down there.
Jameson looked at Sir Alistair and then back to the hole in the ocean.
You mean you can get us down there?
Sir Alistair nodded, his fingers flying across the surface of the screen and embedded in his armor.
Hang on to something.
The group watched as a metal hand shot out from within the hole. It curled over the top of the ship, digging its massive fingers into the sides. With a single movement, it picked the ship up off the surface of the ocean and slowly lowered it down into the hole. Everyone watched in stunned silence as they descended beneath the surface of the ocean, staring into walls of water all around them. The ship reached the bottom. No one said a word.
I must say, this is impressive, Blackheart remarked.
Let's go. We need to find my crew,
Jameson shouted, climbing over the edge of the ship. The group made their way towards a doorway on the far side of the open space. Strange blue lights illuminated above them, the same shade as the light that came from Sir Alistair's armor.
I don't understand. This looks like Verac technology, but we're in a Titan citadel. Why are they so similar?
Sir Alistair asked. No one answered because soon they emerged into another chamber. This one was large enough to house a small city. A domed glass ceiling above them looked out into the ocean waves. Massive hanging orbs cast a haunting blue glow across the space, which was filled with all manner of strange technology. The largest of the things in the dome were two towering metal monstrosities, shaped like men, but large enough to trample a kingdom. They were known as Titan Mechanarchs, ancient hybrids of technology and magic, once used by the Eleuthian Titans to terraform the realm. Jameson had seen one before, but the shock was just as potent the second time.
Titans be damned! Those are Mechanarchs! I've used one before!
Blackheart chuckled. I very much doubt that.
I'm serious! I fought one of the old gods. When I find my crew, they'll back up the story,
Jameson replied. Sir Alistair pointed forward. A path meandered through the vast stores of technologies. Ahead of them, a group of roughly 20 people all stood silently observing the Mechanarchs in the distance.
Is that your crew?
Sir Alistair asked. Jameson cheered.
Boys! There you are! What in the seven are you doing down here? You left the ship unguarded.
Jameson ran over to the group. The others followed behind. Sir Alistair laid his hand on the hilt of his sword just as his scan of the crew finished.
Jameson, wait!
He shouted. Jameson didn't listen. He reached the group and headed over to his first mate, Tashwin Felix. The fur-covered Kalat turned around slowly. Jameson stumbled backwards when he saw his best friend's eyes. They were entirely black.
No, this isn't happening,
Jameson screamed. Sir Alistair's eyes shifted over to Blackheart, who pushed past the other three and stood in front of Jameson's crew. Blackheart smiled as streaks of black crawled beneath the skin in his face. His eyes clouded over, turning as black as the eyes of the crew members who surrounded him.
I really must thank you all for the ride. I didn't want to swim, Blackheart said, slowly drawing his sword. Unfortunately, this is where your journey ends. They're all infected!
Sir Alistair screamed.
It's a trap!
Jameson stood frozen as the friends he considered family all drew their weapons on him. Sir Alistair pulled his sword from the sheath and pressed a button on the bottom of the hilt. Blue lightning streaked up the surface, dancing across wires that snaked over the blade. Beside him, Alara pressed her hands together and pulled them apart. A spectral spear made of brilliant violet light manifested between her hands.
Kill them all!
Blackheart shouted. Chaos ensued as the infected crew charged forward. Sir Alistair slashed his sword through the air, sending an arc of energy firing out in front of him. It collided with one of the crew members, turning them to ash in the blink of an eye. Ilara gripped her summoned spear and leapt into the air. She turned the blade downward and drove it into the chest of an approaching pirate. His black eyes went wide as a flash of violet light exploded behind them, and he went limp. Jameson simply stumbled backward, his jaw agape. He couldn't bear the thought of raising a weapon to his crew. That's when he saw his best friend approaching him. A humanoid feline. A Kalat. Possibly the last one in the realm. He and Jameson had been through hell together. There was no one else in the world he trusted more.
Tashwin, please! Snap out of it!
Jameson pleaded. The Kalat flashed its teeth as it twirled a pair of daggers in its hands. Jameson remembered when he had bought those daggers as a present for Tashwin's Krona Day.
I'm not going to fight you!
Jameson yelled. The Kalat leapt forward. Jameson raised his hands to defend himself. A brilliant flash of light filled the air, and instead of an impact, Jameson felt flecks of ash crash into his arms. He lowered his hands and his eyes went wide. Where once had stood his best friend, there was nothing left. Only a cloud of ash remained. He looked over to the left and saw Sir Alistair Wolfguard wielding a strange sword covered in lightning. Slowly, his mind put the pieces together.
What have you done?
Jameson roared. He ran towards Sir Alistair just as a bellowing hum filled the chamber. The sound foreign yet familiar. It stopped Jameson in his tracks. It was the sound of a mechanarch starting up. Jameson turned his eyes up to one of the towering robots. Brilliant shades of light pulsed beneath its metal skin. Blackheart's voice echoed through the chamber.
I'll be taking my leave now, but I wish you all a slow and painful death. I'm told drowning is agony.
The mechanarch's massive fist shot upward, punching the roof of the dome. Cracks spiraled through the surface, and water began to fall downward into the chamber.
We have to go! Now!
Sir Alistair screamed. He grabbed Jameson by the shoulders and shook him. Jameson slapped the knight's hand away.
Leave me! I'm not leaving my crew!
Look around! They're gone, Jameson! They're all either dead or catatonic without commands from the rot!
Jameson's eyes wandered across the vast chamber. The few crew members that were left had gone still, like machines waiting orders. He couldn't shake the sight of Tashwin's black eyes. The image was burned into his mind.
Just leave me,
he said. Sir Alistair looked over to Alara. She threw up her hands. The mechanarch's fist hit the dome again. The echoes of cracking glass filled the chamber as more water started rushing in, pooling around the group's feet.
Look, Jameson, I understand how you're feeling, but there's nothing we can do for them. We need to go,
Sir Alistair said. Jameson laughed.
You understand how I feel! You know nothing of loss!
Sir Alistair dropped his sword and threw his fists into the air.
I lost everything!
My wife! My child! Every friend and fellow knight I've ever fought beside! They all perished in the siege of Giant's Bane!
Every single one!
He stepped forward, locking eyes with Jameson as he continued.
You saw what happened to your friend just now. Verac technology doesn't leave a body behind. It doesn't allow for a burial. 1 minute they're there, and the next they're gone. Like they never existed at all.
He pointed to his armor.
Do you know why they call me the Blackened Knight? It's because when I came back from that battle with the Verac Horde, my armor was stained permanently by the ashes of my brethren.
He stepped back as tears glistened in his eyes.
So do not speak to me of loss, Jameson. I have known no greater a companion in this life.
Jameson stayed silent for a moment as water continued to fill the chamber. Finally, he took a deep breath and sighed.
I don't give a rat's ass about your sob story. You killed my best friend, and now you're going to pay.
Jameson reached down and drew the dagger from his side. A fire burned in his eyes. Sir Alistair picked up his sword off the ground, gripping it in both hands as lightning crackled along the surface.
You wish to join him, then? That can be arranged,
he shouted. Ilara leapt in between the two men before their fight could begin. She threw up both her hands.
Stop fighting!
She screamed. It was the first time she had spoke since they all met, and even the realm listened. A blast of violet light exploded outward, spreading all around her like a bubble. It expanded until it reached the edges of the chamber and then stopped, and with it, time stopped as well. Sir Alistair and Jameson both looked around them in pure shock. Streams of water hung in the air. Chunks of glass and debris floated like autumn leaves. Behind them, the Mechanarch holding Blackheart was frozen in place. Sir Alistair holstered his sword.
Incredible. Ilara, you stopped time in its tracks.
Ilara wavered in place. She started to fall, but Jameson leapt forward and caught her. He looked around as he picked her up.
This little one's full of tricks, it seems,
he said. His eyes met Alistair's. They both stood silent for a moment.
This isn't over, Knight. I won't forget what you took from me,
Jameson said.
I saved your life. But if you must hold a grudge, then so be it. There's no telling how long Ilara's magic will last. We need to go,
Sir Alistair replied. Jameson carried Ilara out of the chamber. Sir Alistair followed behind, furiously tapping at the device on his wrist. He looked longingly at the technology spread around him, but he knew he didn't have time to salvage anything. The secrets of the Titans, it seemed, would once more be buried beneath the waves. The group made their way back onto Jameson's ship. Time resumed as they emerged from the chamber. Sir Alistair activated the metal hand, and it took the ship back to the surface. Jameson set Ilara down on the deck, just as a thundering boom sounded from beneath the waves.
Her spell has worn off. We need to get this ship moving before the Mechanarch escapes,
Alistair said. Jameson nodded.
Have you ever manned a ship before?
Sir Alistair shook his head.
No, but I'm a fast learner.
Aye, that'll have to do.
The two men coordinated to unfurl the sails and ready the ship for movement. Sir Alistair's heart raced as he stood at the bow, watching the water flow underneath them. A thunderous crash sounded from behind them. He ran up to where Jameson stood at the ship's wheel and saw Blackheart's Mechanarch breach the surface of the ocean. Each of its steps sent a rolling roar through the air. It climbed out of the water and onto the shore, towering well above the canopy of Titanum Forest. It was truly a terrifying sight. Jameson spun the wheel around and looked toward the Mechanarch as it began carving a path through the forest.
Where's it going?
He asked. Sir Alistair's heart sank.
There's only one kingdom that I know of in that direction. If we changed our heading now, we could get there in 3 days' time.
Jameson nodded.
Right. Where should I set course to then?
Sir Alistair shut his eyes and sighed.
Set sail for Giant's Bane.